Hello there, this is Daniel West for Hero Arts. I'm going to mess up a couple cards today and show you how I fixed them. If you're tempted to chuck your mistakes in the trash right away, think again. There's always or almost always a way to fix or salvage a project. Today I'm going to use this stamp set called Affirmation Messages from Hero Arts. The sentiments are large and funky and somewhat retro, and I really enjoy them a lot. So I stamped them out with some Intens-ified black ink. Using fun foam helped get the impression nice and solid and black. And then I just fussy cut them all out. You don't have to watch that completely. I just sped it up and skipped some of it. So I put them aside and took out my Sunflower Field HeroScape stamp set. These HeroScape stamp sets are layering sets that are quite forgiving. I used some Hero Hues white cardstock and set my first layer down using green apple ink. Next, I'm going to line up the second layer here. And this is going to add the shadows into the back behind the flowers. And I'm going to use pine ink, which is a very dark green ink. I stamped it twice actually. And now I took out the third layer, which is the outside of the flowers. And I'm going to ink this one up with Butterbar ink, this gorgeous yellow ink from Hero Arts. I stamped it twice actually, and then took out the fourth layer, which is the inside of the flowers. And I'm going to use caramel ink for this center piece of the flowers, and then line up the fourth stamp here and ink it up with Cup of Joe ink, which is a very dark brown. And it's great to let those dry in between layers. Couldn't catch that with this sped up version of this video, but it's great to let them dry so that the inks don't mix together. So then I took out another sentiment stamp from the Affirmation Messages stamp set, inked it up with Butterbar again, and I laid out the scene with the barn, the fence, the windmill, and the birds, and inked it up with Intens-ified black ink. But if you look closely, you can see some ink got on that sun and messed it up for me. I was going to let that go as I put in the summer sky ink here. I'm just adding sky in between the clouds. And I realized another issue I had. It's a cloudy scene, and how am I going to have a bright sun in the front like that? But then I mixed the blue and the yellow. I really messed that up. So I just covered it up with this sentiment, popped it up on some foam tape, and there I have just the perfect card anyway. So I'm very pleased with how it turned out, even if it wasn't the exact way I intended in the beginning. What do you think? Would you have thrown it away, or would you have fixed it? Next, I'm pulling out a stamp set from a few years ago. It's called Welcome Neighbor. It's still in the store at HeroArts.com. So I laid it out here, inked it up, and then just put a sheet of paper over the top of it to make masks, since they didn't need to be exactly beautifully stamped. I just wanted the image to cut out. So here I am. I'm going to lay these out one by one, masking off a space for the little trees in the front of each image. And this row of houses is going to be kind of a European look. At the top, I start brushing up some of the leftover ink in my blue brush, and I noticed that some ink came off of this slippery mask that I had created. Now, it wouldn't have happened if I had just used regular paper, but I had kind of a waxy paper there, and it smeared up the top of my sky. So I've messed it up. But I keep going. I'm adding the tree color now, just some simple Copic coloring with G28 and 24. And now for the Tuscan colored building here, a very rough kind of look to the Copic coloring, and this is on purpose. I promise I can color in a more professional way, but I did it this way on purpose. I wanted this kind of cartoonish look to my buildings, and these are kind of a Tuscan look. So YR24, 21, and then the darkest is YR28 that's going to come in for the trim, the shingles, and the roof of the buildings. I've sped this up quite a bit because I couldn't imagine you watching me do this for an hour. So here I've just actually colored these in with no added dimension to the darker parts. And I hope that I've achieved the look I think I have that I was going for. Now the windows, I'm just adding some shine in by adding some shadows. So this is W6, a warm gray color from Copic. And I colored in the trunks as well. And now I'm going to do the same technique for the sky here. Just add some sky in between the clouds that are already there. Now my favorite new gray ink, Wet Cement, is just beautiful. I'm in love with it. And it works perfectly for sidewalks out the front of these buildings. Now I wasn't sure which sentiment I wanted to use to cover up my blender, and I ended up with Today is the Day again because I just absolutely loved it. And now I'm going to go on to a third card here called, with a stamp set called Birch Forest Clean Stamp. I'm going to do a ink blending straight on this red rubber stamp, starting out with Grape Crush. And I'm using a blender brush to soften the tops or the edge where this is going to blend into a blue in the center. So this will keep me from getting a harsh line as the color transitions into another color. So I clean off the stamp each time, and now the top is going to be a Pool Party, which is a bluish green ink. So I'm going to do the same thing with my blue brush, just soften the edge on the bottom of that so that I don't have any harsh lines. And I'm going to go in just a couple of times on each one of these colors just to make sure I give really good coverage to the project. My third ink is Hawaii Blue, and it's this gorgeous, or Blue Hawaii, it's this gorgeous blue ink. And this is going in the center, and of course top and bottom will be softened by the blender brush. Look how they just blend together. It looks like I blended them straight on the paper, but it's using this kind of brush to soften it. You could use a paper towel if you have that. Maybe just take some of the ink off of each end. And there's my panel. Let's clean up my stamp before I close my MISTI. I'll save my insert paper there for another day. Now I'm going to use a stamp set here that I'm using by mistake. It's discontinued actually, but you can use the other one that I just showed on the screen, Winter Forest Animals. That is still available. I'm just going to lay out some of these silhouetted images here on the bottom, and then in the trees. You could use the open images on the other stamp set and just color them in black if you want the silhouette look. And now I just place the sentiment there on the lower third section of the card and stamp these images around the sentiment. And now I'm going to add some definition to the outside of this sentiment because I want it to kind of pop around the trees. So I don't want the sentiment to actually blend into the trees. I want that definition. So I put it on some Hero Hues Amethyst cardstock and then fussy cut around it to leave a border. Now I'm doing some more simple Copic coloring here with some V08, V04, and V01. Pop that up on some foam tape, and I'm done. I didn't actually mess that card up at all. Here's a final look at all three of the projects that we created today. Two of them I salvaged and one just appears to be a bonus. I do really enjoy these large sentiments in this stamp set, and I hope you'll give them a try. Thanks for joining me today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to get notifications from Hero Arts whenever we upload a new video.